Hey, Spyral Gang, Two-Tone back with another video, and this time I'm bringing you a remix of an old deck you've seen me play before, but this time it's actually a significantly better deck, and it's not even a joke. So, this is a The World FTK build, and the general idea is you use the World's effect to skip your opponent's first turn when you go first, and then you win on technically turn 3, but it's functionally an FTK because your opponent never got a chance to play the game. That's kind of how FTKs work. The main concept behind this is you search out the World with Curious, and then you bounce it back to your hand with Fireball Dragon, and then we use the newly released Ancient Fairy Dragon to search a copy of Lightbearer. In my previous video, you saw me use a Mathmech Alimbertion, which you had to use a 4 material version of a rank 4 monster to search this light barrier, and that was horrifically inefficient, and you had to run like 7 different main deck bricks on top of the World and the light barrier to make that combo work, and you had to go into Curious first, which risked milling either the light barrier or any of the other bricks that you needed in your deck to work. It was a completely mess of a deck, but now that Ancient Fairy Dragon's released, this is almost certainly the most consistent and durable Spyral FTK available. I've shown multiple FTKs on my channel, you know, the Ohm FTK, there's the Leerless Angel of Mission FTK, which I don't think I've shown, there's the Saint showed off the Samsara Lotus FTK, which is probably like the second best, but I think this version is the best because it relies on a very powerful engine in Ancient Fairy Dragon, and it never gets in its own way with cards like Curious. So how does it work? Well, the general idea is you're going to do your basic Souls combo to get to the Ancient Fairy Dragon through Romulus. The basic idea is at some point you summon Leerless Recital Starling, she searches Slower Swallow, and thanks to Quick Fix and Drone and such, you'll have level 1s on the field. You'll special summon Slower Swallow, turn Leerless and the Slower Swallow into a Romulus. That searches Dragon Ravine, that gets you Ancient Fairy Dragon, that searches Light Barrier, and then you just do regular Spyral stuff to go into Curious plus Firewall Dragon, and Saryuja instead of Appaloosa in these instances to special summon the World. That's the long and short of it. You might notice some unusual inclusions in this deck that you may have never seen in a deck before. Like, pretty much everything here is standard that you would have seen in my Firewall Dragon list before, but there are two, not my Firewall Dragon, the World list before, but there are two kind of unusual inclusions. The first one is Protector Whelp of the Destruction Sword. This card says two things that matter. One, it is a link monster, so it's very easy to make, and two, it is a dragon. It is a completely generic dragon link monster. The reason I'm including this in my deck instead of a better backup card like Appaloosa for something to make whenever my combo doesn't go off is because sometimes you will draw Slower Swallow in your opening hand, and you will need to activate dangers to get your combo going. This is not, you know, an impossible situation, and if you accidentally discard your Slower Swallow off of your dangers, unless you hard draw the World, you have no way to recur the Slower Swallow. In the past, the answer would have been like a Firewall Dragon, you'd bounce it back, but you need that Firewall Dragon to bounce back the World. So what happens when this crazy situation where you discard Slower Swallow happens? Do you just make Sleeper and pass and give up? Heck no. You turn those extra dangers or whatever extra bodies you have into Protector Whelp, and then you'll make the Leerlisk as per usual, and you can turn the Leerlisk and the Protector Whelp into Romulus. So that's... I know it's ultra rare, and I know people may not want to make it. If that's the case, just suck it up when you discard your Slower Swallow and throw an Appaloosa in the slot. That's fine. The other unusual inclusion, which I guess maybe I touched on before, but it's worth noting, is Dragunity Remus. This deck really wants to get to Ancient Fairy Dragon. The only way you win is with Light Barrier, consistently at least. So we're maxing out on, you know, we have Destrudos, we have Triple Dragon Ravine, and we have Remus, who can search Dragon Ravine, and also you can small world with it, which is very fun. And whenever you already have access to Destrudo, you can like bait Ash Blossom with your Dragon Ravines by using the Add a Dragunity Monster to Hand effect, which is pretty nifty. So yeah, that's the only like two unusual inclusions. Let's actually get to a combo tutorial where I show you the basic combo that gets you to the FTK. Alright, so here we are in solo mode. I am using solo mode because it's an FTK, so it doesn't really matter what your opponent's doing. The result should always be the same when you do win. I'm going to show you the Souls plus Quick Fix combo, wherein you get to... we'll go ahead and turn these prompts off because they'll get annoying. Wherein you get to... Celine, because you have tons of excess spells in this deck. Technically, I could skip the entire Romulus part of it because I drew a Remus, but again, I'm just showing you the basic combo. So we'll go ahead and use this Magician Souls, or Illusion of Chaos to get Magician Souls. Great card. And we'll lead off with Magician Souls, Special Summons, and Master Plan. On this particular hand, I would have led off with Spyro Resort to bait an Ash Blossom or something. That's not really relevant here. So we'll go get Big Red. As long as I have this one spell in the graveyard, that's the only thing that really matters for the combo. The combo is still doable if you don't have access to something. It's just a little more awkward, and you end up having to like search Sleeper on turn 3 to go for the kill, which is not great, but it's not the worst. So we'll go ahead and add Rescue Mission. And if you were playing this combo, you would obviously Soul's Effect sends Rescue Mission and Big Red to the graveyard to draw 2 cards. I don't want to potentially draw my Light Barrier or the World, so I'm just going to skip that part. But, you know, in my shoes, you would obviously draw 2 cards, because drawing 2 cards is good. In this case, I'm just going to use this Borg blocker to discard my Rescue Mission instead of Souls, just so I don't have to worry about the draw potentially messing up this exhibition, we'll call it. So, and also I get to chain block my Master Plan, which is always fun. Another thing you can do is when you do draw 2 of the Souls, if you have a Borg blocker hanging around for obvious reasons, you can discard like a spell card that you wouldn't otherwise be able to play, like maybe an extra Small World or a Called by the Grave or Forbidden Droplets. You know, all those cards that you would want to put in the graveyard to enable Salim, but you might not be able to because they have no targets. Alright, so we'll go ahead and Rescue Mission back Master Plan after searching our Super Agent and Sleeper. If you did not have access to Celine, you would search Quick Fix instead of Sleeper at this point. Go ahead and summon, add this Assault Mission. And since I do have 3 spells in rotation, I can go ahead and go into Celine. But basically, you'd go for Helix earlier, and then you'd like Quick Fix, discard Quick Fix, and a bunch of weird crap to get Celine online. So it's very awkward. Because then you could use Helix to summon Master Plan, but you have to discard a lot of extra cards, which is not efficient. But it's a different combo, right? Spyral is not linear, and that's one of the things that makes it non-linear. You know, Celine isn't always on all the time, so you have to figure out how to play without that. Anyhow, we'll get our third mission at this point, second Rescue Mission, and we can get to the actual linear part of Spyral now that we've used Celine, which is the double Helix. Drone Summon, Advantage Accruing Bonanza. So, you know, Quick Fix, discard Assault. Quick Fix, search Drone. Then we use Assault to summon Drone. Drone will stack their deck, and then we can activate our Helix to summon Quick Fix. Ta-da! Alright, then we stack their deck. And put a monster on top just because it makes things easy. Less to do. So we'll call Monster and summon our second Quick Fix. Can you believe they put Quick Fix to 2? How insane, right? Alright, this Quick Fix will search Last Resort. A funny thing about this deck is you could honestly cut Last Resort because it is an FTK. I just like having it around because it lets you beat a lot of decks going second in a lot of weird situations. Alright, so here's going to be a part where this combo line does diverge from a lot of other combos. And a lot of other combos that still acts as curious, you would turn this Quick Fix into a Link Creebo, then you would discard this Rescue Mission, and then you would overlay for your Xyz monster with both Quick Fixes, now that they're both like in the banish portion of their existence. That is not the case here, and I'm going to show you why in just a second, but we are still going to make the Xyz with the first Quick Fix and the unspecial summon from the graveyard version of Quick Fix. So we'll go into Recital Starling, or Recital Starling. The first effect does not matter, but the second effect does. We will detach a Quick Fix and add Slower Swallow to hand. And this is why it matters. So I'm going Slower Swallow to summon to the field to enable your Romulus. Requires you to have 2 monsters of the same level in the field. If I had summoned a Link Creebo here, I would now have all of my zones filled up, and I would not have a way to summon Slower Swallow without linking off my cards, which I don't want to do. It would mess up my Saryuja and my Firewall Dragon and my Quick Fix plays, so, you know, don't worry about the Link Creebo just yet. We'll get there in a second. Anyhow, we'll go into Slower Swallow, now that we have these zones, and you do want to leave a link zone open for Slower Swallow because you need to be able to link summon Romulus by using Slower Swallow and the Recital Starling as material. Romulus will search a nifty Dragon Ravine. Ta-da! And you will activate Dragon Ravine. And discard any card. Might as well discard this spare Big Red we had hanging around. Now, a card you 100% search all the time. And you will send your Destrudo. Destrudo will use Drone because you want to get the Ancient Fairy Dragon portion of the combo out of the way before you go into Curious. And this Drone's not doing anything else for you. So we'll go ahead and do the Ancient Fairy Dragon part now. So we'll summon here. You will pop your Dragon Ravine. Make sure you click on the second effect because you will typically have, you know, a Super Agent or something or a Last Resort in hand, which you could use the first effect for, but that will mess up your zones. So make sure you go to the second effect. I have messed that up before, out of a bad habit. And then you search your light bearer, now insulating it from your own Curious. At this point, we need to clear up zones to make room for Duel Hand, Master Plan, and Link Crevo, and we do that by going into our Saryuja. If you have like an extra body, you could use 4-mat Saryuja, but you only need to make 3 mats. That's what we're going to do now, and we'll be using Romulus as 2 material, Selena as 1 material, and Ancient Fairy Dragon as 1 material. That will make a 3 material Saryuja, and now we can get to getting. We'll go ahead and rescue mission back our Master Plan because we need her to make our Curious. And if you had an extra danger in hand or something, you could use that too. So we'll get this rescue mission. Technically, this version of the combo ends up with an extra rescue mission rotation, so you don't have to discard rescue mission here. It might be better to set it just in case, but you know, if you're actually getting to the FTK, who cares if you have an extra rescue mission rotation, right? It just really serves that you have like a little extra material to work with in case you have to eat an Ash Blossom or something and it robs you of 1 material. Anyhow, Duel Hand is relevant to the strategy. You have to have it because you need the Dark Monster. So, you know, all the people who say, do I have to play Duel Hand? In this version, yes. Sorry. Now, we'll go ahead and discard. You can discard this Last Resort because it actually does not matter. And we'll summon Quick Fix to the Saryuja zone. Doesn't matter either. And we'll go into Link Crevo. And now we have our traditional Curious setup. Link Crevo, Master Plan, Duel Hand. And we use all of that to summon Curious. If you were out of cards in hand for whatever reason, maybe you had to, use Dragon Ravine early or use a bunch of dangers or something, this is where the extra rescue mission does come into play. I am going to do what I would normally do, which is use Quick Fix to make my Firewall Dragon. But go ahead and send the world here. Obviously, that's what you're doing with Curious, because this is what you would normally do, because it's just the most efficient thing to do. But the extra rescue mission is there if you need it. So I'll go ahead and use Quick Fix, summon, and make Firewall Dragon. Firewall Dragon will be co-linked to Double Helix. So now Firewall Dragon will activate. We will add the world to hand. And now, very importantly, play Light Barrier first. And then activate Saryuja to summon the world. You summon the world to Saryuja zone just for damage purposes. And then we will I guess you can chain block the world effect with Saryuja, but it doesn't really matter. It's just kind of funny. Now, if your opponent had a Ghost Ogre or something at this point, why wouldn't they have used it earlier? Light Bearer will do a kind of a replacement situation where instead of flipping a coin for the world's effect, you will just choose heads, and now your opponent will skip their turn so long as you have material on the field. We will special summon the Super Agent, calling Monster. This is why you can go ahead. This is why, when I said earlier in the combo, you could do the double Quick Fix plays and skip either Super Agent or Sleeper. As you can see, I did not need either of them because we can just go to our end phase. The world will add our Spyral Resort back to hand because of Borg Blocker, obviously. And then we will continue resolving the effect of Arcana Force, and we'll send both the Super Agent and this Double Helix, which are just kind of hanging out. They weren't necessary anymore. And this field is lethal, I believe. 28 plus 28 is 54, plus 34 is 88. Very lethal, so you just go straight to damage. Or you go straight to battle. Now, like I said, you can actually cut Sleeper too. It's not super relevant, but Sleeper is very important going second for your OTK line, so I would never cut him. But it's nifty to have cards to search as well. And yeah, that is a lethal line. You didn't even need the 2 monsters you searched with Master Plan, as shown there. You had the extra rescue mission for that Super Agent, so you had plenty of robust ability to play through, removal or different types of hand traps in certain situations. Like Gamma robbing you of material doesn't always matter in this version because you have so much extra material. Anyhow, that's the combo. Let's go to the little conclusion at the end of the video. Alright, so here are the conclusion. I'm going to go over the pros, cons, and the alternate solutions you can have to those pros and cons. The pros of this deck are, 1, it's an FTK. FTKs are pretty good at winning the game because you don't have to worry about what your opponent is doing. It doesn't have to worry about a board being broken, which is fairly common in Sprite meta. A lot of people are putting in Dark Ruler no more and stuff like that to beat Sprite, and the world does not care about those kind of cards. And 2, it's very consistent. I mean, I've played this deck in Diamond 1 and in all the ranks leading up to Diamond 1 on my streams and such, and it's been a fairly solid version of the deck compared to the previous version, which was a bit of a meme because of how many ridiculous bricks they had to run to make Alan Bershin and get to the world still. Downsides are, one, it's very extra deck intensive. As you can see, I don't have a whole lot of room for backup plans. I'm not even playing Appaloosa. One of the alternatives I was speaking of is you could still just cut this Protector Whelp for an Appaloosa and still have a decent backup plan. And if you really wanted to, you could like sacrifice a little to go in second game, cut this Nightmare Phoenix for Trigate Wizard, and maybe do something there, but you'd have to like end up using, I don't know, Nightmare Unicorn as your left link, so maybe that's not the best idea. But Appaloosa certainly you could squeeze in at the cost of, you know, just conceding whenever you discard your Slower Swallow. You know, that's not the biggest deal in the world. Downsides are it's a little clunky because it doesn't play through hand traps that well. I mean, Spyral can play through hand traps a lot of the time depending on the hand, no matter what. But if you can't get to your Ancient Fairy Dragon to search Light Barrier, you're going to either be not comboing at all or relying on the actual 50-50 split on the world's effect. So, you know, that's kind of a downside. So if you do get hand trapped into Oblivion, you're likely not going to win because you don't have the best backup plan, and your forward-facing plan isn't the best without Ancient Fairy Dragon actively searching Light Barrier. Because in other variants of the deck that are still running Ancient Fairy Dragon, you can just end on a solid board by using Ancient Fairy Dragon to search a Spyral Resort and special summon a Quick Fix. The world really can't do that because you really need to search the Light Barrier. So unless you already drew Light Barrier, that is not that good of an option. Finally, there's probably other FTKs that maybe are a little better. If you've seen Saint's video on the Samsara Lotus FTK, that's maybe a slightly better version because it does run one less brick, I believe, to enable it. Just the Samsara Lotus and one more. Whereas this is running 3 thanks to Slower Swallow and Light Barrier. And there's probably a Dragon Ravine version of that deck that hasn't been built yet that can just use Dragon Ravine and Destrudo as extenders or enablers. So I haven't really delved into doing that, but maybe there's a version of that out there that's better than this as far as Spyral FTKs go. Besides that, another big pro is that I think this deck plays very well specifically into Runic Sprite when they maxi you. When you get maxied in pretty much any other version of the Spyral, you're probably just, you know, conceding, or maybe like if you're playing Kal Yuga, you can go for it, but lose to Sprite Runic dropping a spell speed 2 destruction on your rank up magic or on your Volofernagus, and then you don't get your Kal Yuga. But in this deck, if a Runic Sprite player maxes you, and you kind of play through it until you see that they're on Runic because of Drone, they probably aren't running that many more hand traps, usually maybe just an Ash or a Gamma, and you can oftentimes play through that. And if that's the case, they can't stop you. If that's the best deck in the format and they're playing nothing but Sprite Enablers, the Runic cards, and Board Breakers, the world wins the game through that kind of nonsense. And I've done it multiple times where I've just said, screw it, they maxed me, I'm going to go for it anyhow, resolved the world, and won the game. It's not that common, but it happens sometimes. That's better than most other Spyral decks maxi strategies. Besides that, that's really it. I mean, there's not really many other things you can change in the X deck or the main deck. You know, you could maybe cut out Forbidden Drop if you just didn't care about going second at all, but other than that, this is a pretty straightforward setup for the combo. If you like this, if you like FTKs, or you like Spyral in general, heck, throw a like, comment, and subscribe down on the video, and I'd really appreciate it if you did. And if you want to, keep an eye out for my streams where you might get to see me play this card a little bit. I have used it in a few of my streams in the past, and I've been streaming a little bit more regularly now, so, you know, keep an eye out for those. Besides that, I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you enjoyed the content, and thanks for watching, everyone. Have a good one. Bye.